element, don't care about relevance. I'm doing me, I'm in my element. We the new delegate, tap in and see. I don't sit and worry about who's on. Back in my bag, there's a new zone. Kettle on my wrist, it's a two-tone. Direct flight out to London, then might slide out to Lisbon. Crossing borders, getting my stamps up. Travel light, everybody can come. Lay low, I don't want attention. Only show what you see. Never no cap in my rap. When I rap on the track, got me feeling like I'm in the league. Ease. I'm in my element, don't care about relevance. I'm doing me, I'm in my element. We the new delegate. Tap in and see. I'm in my element, back in my element. 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 I'm in my element. This is easy as a layup. I don't show if you don't pay up. Long nights had to stay up. Putting hours while you later. I can sit around and wait up. I'm gonna have to see you later. Giving tips like a waiter. Even tell them all you fade on. I'm in my element. Back in my element.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today on this beautiful Wednesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage, all right? And as always, we want to make sure that we are taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trade strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So got some updates from yesterday, and then we'll dive into the charts. And this morning, what we will do is we'll start with pairs that you guys have that you want me to take a look at. We'll take a look at those, and then we'll dive into some of mine with whatever time is remaining. All right. So if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat, and we will get this thing rocking. See the ones coming in. Beautiful. All right. So let's slide over to... We'll do trading economics real quick, and then we will take a look at the calendar. That's where the majority of our stuff will live. And actually, give me 2 minutes, everybody. Give me 2 minutes, please. All right, I apologize for that. Dog is tripping this morning. So the Euro area producer prices continue to decline. All right, we talked about yesterday some of the data coming in below expectation. The CPI is starting to come down. And then we have producer prices also coming down. It fell by 0.2% month over month in May, following 1% fall in April, compared to a forecast of 0.1% decrease. The reading marked the 7th consecutive month of producer deflation, although the smallest in the sequence, led by a drop in energy costs. Year-on-year producer prices fell 4.2%, less than a 5.7 drop, and compared to a forecast of a negative 4.1%. So we're getting some declines there, right? Which ultimately that's what the central bank wants, right? So we'll take a look at some comments from Christine Lagarde yesterday, kind of in line with the deflationary talk, and where the Bank of England is. That's really it for this side. So over to the calendar. Um, Christine Lagarde spoke yesterday. Some of her comments, right? They don't need services inflation at 2% if they have the uh, if the manufacturing goods are below 2%, right? So, which they're getting there. So that's one comment. So when looking at the data points, right, manufacturing, uh, CPI is more important than the services CPI, right? So good notes for us as these conversations continue to happen and as the data continues to come out, right? That's what the ECB is looking at, right? So that's one piece there. Then it's unlikely that we'll go to ultra low rates, so we won't go back to zero, but we will see rates decrease. Inflation is heading in the right direction. They're very attentive to inflation components and services. Don't need to have services inflation at 2%. Right. So the the ECB sees the data moving in the direction that they desire. Right. So that then leads to our expectations of potentially a weaker euro as we move forward because more rate cuts are likely, right? So that was from yesterday, and then we had Jerome Powell also speak yesterday at the conference, and the biggest thing for him was, um, yes, inflation is cooling again, but we still need more time, right? We're not ready to cut rates yet. We still need to see more data come out to show that inflation is continuing to move down. Um, So a data dependent, more of a neutral stance. Um, wasn't super hawkish, but wasn't dovish either. They need more time, right? And they'll watch the data to see how that data comes out to then make that determination. But they won't. Ultimately, they won't rush it, right? Um, so that those are the words from Jerome Powell. All right, so that's where we are from that perspective. Then retail sales for the Aussie came in above expectation, right? So we're continuing to see hot data out of Australia, which leads to more of a stronger Aussie dollar, right? And we had those PMI numbers come in for the Eurozone, right? Some at expectation, some above expectation. Then later on today, 8:15, we have non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, and then final services PMI and ISM services PMI for the United States with factory orders month over month. And Christine Lagarde is talking again, I believe at the same conference. Yeah. The same forum as yesterday, multiple day forum. So she's speaking again. We'll see where that goes. You also got crude oil inventories. And then 2 o'clock, which all eyes are on, FOMC meeting minutes to see what the Fed's conversation was to get more insight on the direction for future interest rates. All right. So that's it from a fundamental perspective. Are there any questions? No. All right, cool deal. We'll take a look at the dollar, and then if you guys have pairs you want me to take a look at, drop those into the chat for me, and we'll start out by looking at those before we move anywhere else. So coming to the dollar, DXY, right? Yesterday we were pushing to the upside, and we're pulling back. So what that tells us, right? We're just moving sideways. We're trapped in our range, right? We went to the top of the range, and now we're coming back down to the bottom of the range. Okay. So we need to break out in one direction or the other, right? Today might give us some insight, push the market in one direction or the other, but this is where we sit. So we'll wait till 2 o'clock and see if we start moving back to the upside like that, right? Um, so we'll watch things there in the range, but just pressing sideways. So your dollar pairs kind of also a little bit back and forth as well. All right. So that is the dollar index. No pairs to take a look at. All right. So I'll keep rocking then. So dollar CAD. We talked about it yesterday, right? We talked about the range overall that we're in. But zooming in, we said we're looking for a price to come down to our sweet spot, which it did, right? And now we're ranging at this 8.6 retracement level, right? So be looking for opportunities potentially to get long here. Okay. If we come back real quick to the 4, right? We know this is the overall range that we're in. It's super choppy. Came back down to that 50% retracement level here on the sub fib to the upside. Okay. So we got to bounce back and forth here. So we're still waiting to see what happens with the dollar. But if we're trading this off the 1 hour time frame, right, there's our range overall on the daily, right? So we got indecision there. But if we're trading this off the 1 hour time frame, right, prices in our sweet spot. So now we're looking for that additional confirmation to give us opportunity to enter this to the upside, right? We see that's the cloud there, right? We're well below the cloud, but do we get this move back to the upside? Okay. So that is the dollar CAD. Any questions here? There's your trend line. We're pressing sideways through it, so we'll shift it out. Yeah, Reese. Yeah, man. Me too. Me too. It's definitely interesting. We'll take a look at the Aussie dollar just to get an update on where it is, but it's literally just moving. That one particularly is just moving straight across. Very little movement at all. So I'm with you though, waiting on those to make a move. So patience, patience, patience for sure. Um, cool. So that's the dollar CAD. Want to update on this pound Swissy. Um, we're looking at this for a couple reasons, right? Daily time frame, we got a 618 retracement. Price came back to that 618 level here. And we also had a sub fib 80-20 that we're looking to play to the upside, right? So from the sub fib perspective, we've achieved that TP1 level. We came back into this level of daily resistance, right? However, larger, right? We're making our way back to the upside on the daily, right? Matching the extension is at 117.037. Okay. So price still moving to the upside. We still got some ways to go here. If price is going to make it to that matching the extension. Okay. So this is ultimately a larger entry here. Right. And we're on the move long. Okay. So off that entry point there, we'll look at on lower time frame too, but that's 230 pips to the upside. Right. So if we come down to the 4, look at it a little more closely on the floor. On the 4 hour, things are shifted a little bit differently. All right. On the 4, we did get a 8.6 retracement here. Okay. The 8.6 retracement puts us at 157.26. Okay. So still more upside to go. I'm watching this daily level because we could be due for a pullback as we see these sub fibs we'll take a look at, right? So we could be in for a pullback and a continuation here, right? So look for a pullback like this and then a continuation to the upside, which would give us this head and shoulders pattern. Oops. Give us that action there, right? So I'm looking at that as the possibility there, okay? So if we zoom in on this, those fibs got taken out. So we're looking at the sub fibs to the upside. Okay. And this, again, right? This black outline box is the daily move, right? So we got more room to go, but we're looking at the ABCD waves within that larger move. Okay. So zoom in here on the sub fib, and then we'll drop to the one, right? We do have an 80-20 scenario here on the sub fib. Okay. So if you're looking to play the counter trend move, this is an opportunity for you, right? If you get price to turn over and break your trend line, look for that move back down. And then if you're looking to add to your trade, right, add a second position to build that as we move through the sequence, looking for price to move into the zone. Okay. Look for price to move into the zone. And then you can either play it off that sub fib to the matching D extension, or, right, that could be your entry for that larger move to the upside. Okay. So two different ways you can do that, right? Play it to the matching D extension, or that can be your entry to that daily take profit level, 117 area. Okay. On the 4, right, your matching D extension is here. So you can also play it to that level as well. All right. So you got a couple different options there on how you manage this trade as it continues to chug along in our favor. Okay. So that's on the 4. Then we drop down to the 1, right? And you see the detail there. Okay. Didn't quite push into the 118, 127 level on the 1 hour, but ultimately you're looking for that retracement here on the 1 that give you a 78686 retracement if it comes down that low, right? And then we'll look for that reversal and a move back along. Okay. So that's where we are. Really tracking this one off of the higher time frames for me. So watching it here, right, and looking at these moves to the upside with the overall take profit level at that 117. Okay. Questions on the pound Swiss? Anybody still sitting on this one?
Yes, still sitting in this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Great work. Great work. All right. Continue to be patient with it. Continue to be patient with it. Yeah. Drop some sevens in the chat for those that are still being patient. Holding that trade to take profit levels. 11. I love it. All right. So that's the pound Swissy. Pound NZG. This one I'm watching for, right? Because we're ultimately kind of range bound-ish too, but we're pressing back to the upside here, right? So we got a 50% retracement overall, and we're continuing to make higher lows, right? So we're pushing back long. Pushing back long here with the pound. Okay. So as we come down, right, there's our larger fib, 786 retracement, pressing to the upside. So upside momentum here. Okay. But as we drop down to the 1, do we get a retracement here? Right. We just wicked that 118 level. Shallow retracement, 118. Do we get a retracement before a continuation? Okay, so similar to that pound Swiss, okay, do we get a retracement here? Right. So depending on what your trade plan says, right, do you need it to push deep into that 118, 127 zone, or does a touch of that 118 level count for you? Right. But here's an opportunity for a potential counter trend move to set you up for an opportunity to get back long. All right, back to that 382. Okay, so looking for this action here. Push down, maybe into that sweet spot, and then continuation. Okay, so there's an opportunity there on the 1 hour on the pound NZD if that meets your rules. questions here? No. All right. Cool. Let me look at this oil real quick because I haven't taken a look at it, but obviously we're long, right? Been long for a while, even though we had this nice deep retracement here. Pushing back to the upside, you see on the daily. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to stay tight here on this one. So you see here on the daily, pressing to the upside, not much retracement after we made this reversal back in June, right? Not much retracement. So we hit the D extension there, came into a level of daily resistance. Now we're looking for a retracement and then a continuation. Okay. We didn't get that retracement early. Okay. So that was invalid. Price just continued to rumble. So now we look for a swing high to form. It's on a daily time frame, right? Swing high to form, pull back, retest that 80.39 level potentially, and then see if we can get back long and continue moving to the upside. Okay. So as we drop down to the 4, this is what that looks like here, right? We 1, 2. This one we could see price come back deeper, right? Because that B boundary technically didn't form until this candle here, right? 2 candles to the right. So these are sometimes interesting when it comes to the fib because of where that B boundary actually was officially formed, right? And price wasn't moving down to that after that swing high. So we could see this deeper retracement come here. Okay. So what I'd be looking for is price to come back down to the 80.39 level. And then see if I get that opportunity to get back long. Like that. All right. Yeah, so that gives us a good view on oil. Come down to the 1, right? And there's your AB boundary. If we do get back here, that takes out your A, right? And then we'll run a sub fib off the high, right? But I'm looking at this one off the 4. I'm looking for that move there. Okay. So I'm not playing this counter trend move. I'm just going to wait patiently for this low price. Overall, I am bullish on oil for a plethora of reasons. One of the primary being just the overall geopolitical situations going on around the world. Primarily the one in Palestine, in Gaza. So Ukraine and Russia is still happening. But I see the Gaza situation being a little bit more impactful when it comes to oil and some other things. So I'm long on oil, right? I think there's quite a bit more upside to come in the future. So I'm waiting on this low price here, and then I'll look to get another long entry on this. All right. So that's my thoughts on oil. Any questions here? No? All right.
Nope.
Cool deal. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh, man, doing great. Always glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything top of mind for you, bro? I know you've been on the move this morning, but anything top of mind from a fundamental perspective or even on the chart?
Just continue to watch that euro, man. Right. So, they had the forum yesterday, listening to ECB President Lagarde speak, and along with a gentleman from Brazil, I forget his name, and then Chairman Powell, all sitting on the same panel, just trying to listen in if they, were giving any clues about the forward guidance, which they really didn't. But
Yeah.
they didn't really want to show their hand, but tip the markets, especially doing these. The trick bag is doing, they really try to stay away from politics and political situations, so they really didn't want to show their hand at all since there's so much going on politically, on both sides of the water right now. But watching this morning that Euro area producer prices, right, continue to decline, which is right on the front page of Trading Economics, which I know you probably covered already.
Yep.
Just continuing to to stay data dependent, just like they are, in regards to what could come next for the ECB, in regards to will we see another rate cut a lot sooner than later. All these numbers since their last meeting and since their last 25 basis point cut points towards, hey, things are coming, seems to be coming under control in regards to inflation. So seeing that the producer prices continue to decline leads me to believe that there is a possibility, right, in the near future of another cut coming from the ECB, but we'll continue to watch the data.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit. And some of Christine Lagarde's regarding inflation and
Yep.
where it is. So yes, sir, we are on the same page, man.
Sure.
So your eyes are on the euros, basically.
Yeah, watching those euros, man, and see if we can continue to get declines. Right, it keeps, it's kind of bouncing all over the place. But overall, over the long term, I'm still looking for that euro decline if the data stays consistent to what it is, what it is now. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Speaking of, right, we Reese mentioned, right, waiting on the dollar pairs and the S&P to actually move. So this is the euro dollar, right? And you see this is the range that we're in, right? So we're pressing back to the upside. We'll see if we come back to that 109, 121 area. But it's just moving sideways, right? Just moving sideways. So come down to the daily. And I showed the weekly because we haven't gotten to a 382 level yet, right? So at some point, do we make this move back down to get to this 102 or even parity, as some investors have been looking at for months? So yeah, so that's there. So back to the daily, right? This is that range. So we're pressing back to the upside now. We already closed this gap here, but we're stuck. So pressing to the upside, but at some point, do we turn back over and make our way back down to the downside? All right. So not a ton on the on this euro dollar right now, but overall, the bias is to the downside. So here we are on the 4, right? We got that 786 retracement that we're looking for. Moved down nicely. Now we're pulling back. Okay, so we'll watch this pull back, see how deep it comes, and then see if we get another opportunity to take this move back down to the downside. And then on the 1, right, we broke the cloud, we're moving back north. And here's our fibs running off the high, right? So we're just waiting. Personally, I'm waiting for a little bit of a higher price to re-enter this one to the downside, right? I played this previous fib here, and once price got to the matching D extension, closed me out. So now I'm looking for a high price to then get back short here, right? And then that position, my plan is to build this position, right? So it'd be a smaller one that I take with a little bit of a wider stop, and then build this position for a potential longer term swing to the downside, right? My bias on this one is overall short. So I am looking for that 102 parity-ish, right? Got a lot of work to do to get there, but that's my overall bias on this one as of today. So that's what I'll be looking for, is that move to continue moving to the downside at some point, right? So I'll be building a position. If we get a little bit of a higher price, be building that position on the way down. Okay. My thoughts on the euro dollar. Any questions here? Any other counter thoughts to that? Nope. Same page. All right. Cool deal. That's the euro dollar. Euro Swissy, right? We're talking about that. Pound Swiss, Euro Swiss, similar deal, right? So we've been playing this one long. Okay. We had this nice reversal off the support 94, 696. Beautiful move to the upside. We haven't gotten a retracement yet, though. So we want to keep our eyes on that. But beautiful move to the upside off that support, right? So that previous level is out. Boom. And we're pushing long, right? So that's at its high, it was 250 pips to the upside. Okay. So we took out the A. Now we're waiting for swing high to form to give us a new AB boundary to the upside. We come down to the 4, and this is where we sit. We drew that fib in yesterday or last week. There we go. All right. That D extension got hit. And now we're moving to the upside. Fresh AB boundary, shallow retracement, and we're pushing. So where did that level come from? 1 second. Trying to see where this came from. I believe that's that. Yeah, okay. So there we go. So here we are, right? Pressing to the upside, long move there. So now, do we get another push up into the 118, 127 zone? Then a retracement. And then the question would be, do we get a continuation, right? We know the situation with the Swissy, but we also now have the euro coming into some weakness, right? So this one would be interesting to see how it moves for me because of the state of both currencies. So I'm going to pay attention to that closely. And I am going to take some of my position off here. Go back to this daily. Yeah, I'm going to take some of my position off here. It's been a good move, right? But Benny, what are your thoughts on this one, man? Because of the state of both currencies, you still more long on this one?
Yeah, I'm still long. I'm still long. You know, so it just depends on what your upside target is on a Euro Swiss, you know, and how you wanna maintain your position through the pullbacks. Whether, like you say, you want to take some off or continue. But if you look at the daily, right, it's just continuing to move higher after it formed that swing low. After it formed that swing low, on the daily, you can see how that's moving straight up. You know, so you look for continued, you know, corrections and continuations. You know, we're not in a risk off situation, right? We saw the S&P just break a record yesterday. Swissy, they've cut rates twice. Of course, we always know that they can step in, you know, to make the adjustments that they need to make to ease the pressure on the Swissy. But after that second rate cut, you know, things have just continued to push long against the Swissy across the board, across the board for the most part. So until the market dictates otherwise, fundamentally, I'm looking for corrections and continuations, right? So I'm looking to buy the dips, you know, pretty much across the board because I didn't get a chance to take advantage of all of them. So I'm just looking for, you know, pullbacks and continuations on the Euro Swiss, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I follow that thought. Yeah. So, and that kind of plays into this scenario here, right? Pullback, low price, and then a continuation to the upside. So we'll watch and see how this one goes, right? We'll see if we get that correction. And then we'll look for opportunities to get back long there. As we got a nice break of the cloud, now see if we come back and retest that cloud for then another push. Okay. Questions on the Euro Swiss? Nope. All right. See if we get this first. And then this. Okay. All right. So that's that. Let's go look at. We looked at yesterday that Euro CAD. I didn't get a chance to check back on it. Let's see. So we did get that move back down, and then we turn back over. Let's come into the 4 here. We did turn over, right? So that crown pattern that we talked about yesterday, we're seeing a reversal here and a move back to the upside. So it'll be a question of how high this goes, right? Do we complete the crown and continue moving long? Or do we just get a nice pullback here and then a continuation to the downside? So watching this one closely here to see how deep this goes, right? See if we're able to push back to this 147,867 level. Yeah. This will be interesting to see, right? We got that pullback on oil, but we also got the euro being in the state that it's in. Okay, so let's see how high this goes. If we stay below 147,867, right, then I'll be looking to get short there. Because my longer term bias on this one is to the downside, as we talked about, right? In the scenario here on the weekly time frame, and on the daily time frame, right? 80/20s on both of those, and deep retracement on the monthly. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for here. So that's just an update on that 4-hour crown. From a 1-hour perspective, we've already gotten a deep retracement. So this will be interesting to see how it moves. So I'm just watching to see how price develops here. If we actually do take out the A, or if this is just a pullback for then a turnover to the downside. Okay. So that's just a quick update on the Euro CAD. Any questions or thoughts here? Yeah, we can take a look at that. Oh, all right. Cool. Look at this Euro Aussie. Continue to move down. This one's going to be interesting, right? We got a weak euro and a strong Aussie dollar. Finally broke the support level, 161. Stalling out here. But on this one, because they're looking at potentially an upside to inflation in Australia, right? We could be looking at high prices to get back short to continue this move to the downside. So we'll watch that there, see how things develop. Come down to the 4 to see what we see. I know we got this larger fib here. We're still inside that AB boundary, right? But we need something to drastically change in order to shift this back to the upside. So we're still inside the AB boundary. So I'm watching that to see if the A gets taken out. But we need a drastic change in sentiment for that to be the case, right? Or us to move into a risk-off environment. So Yeah, let's watch this one to the downside until we get something that says otherwise. So that's on the 4. Let's see what it looks like on the 1. Choppy right now. Not much here. So just gonna watch this one to see how it develops. Could potentially have a crown pattern here, but I'm not gonna trade it. I'm just gonna watch and see how this moves. Right? Because we could be in for that action there. So that's it. That's the update on the Euro Aussie. Any questions here? Got a strong Aussie dollar, so this one could definitely continue moving to the downside. Nope. All right, cool. And said Amazon. Let's see. That crown pattern played out from way back here. We'll take that out. Let's see. Um, the pound is a little. The pound is slightly different. Um, they are looking at the timing on when to start cutting. Um, but they haven't made that decision yet. And in the last meeting, they did have an increase in members that support a cut. Um, so they're getting there with that narrative, but they still haven't made that change yet. Um, so it's slightly different from the euro, where they're already cutting and they're planning additional cuts. So slightly different, even though the Aussie still is the stronger of the two currencies. And we'll take a look at it after we look at Amazon to see where it is from a price action perspective. But in my mind, the pound is slightly different just due to the fundamental narrative. They're getting there, but they're not there yet. So, but we'll take a look at it. Amazon, boom, off to the races, right? Off to the races. So let's update some of this here. This is on the daily, so we'll move this down. And this was a 4-hour level. Make that a daily level there. Take that out. Take that out. Nope. This was a daily resistance level that we're trying to break through there. Okay. So from a fib perspective on the daily, headed to the D extension. 618 retracement. Looking to break that 199. D extension 207.38. Right? Sequence plays out all the time. We got stochastic that's approaching the sell zone. So we could see a pullback before we continue to the upside there. Coming to the 4. This is where we are. Shallow retracement. So the question is, do we push into the 118, 127 zone and get to that daily D extension before we get the retracement? Maybe not that high. Let's see. Let's mark this up. Maybe, maybe, right? Do we get a push to break that level, get to the daily D extension, give us an 80-20 on the 4, and then get a reverse? Come back down to that 50% retracement level. So we got a 4-hour support here. So on stocks and futures, I do mark lower time frame support here because generally I'm trading these off of a lower time frame. Even though we may start looking at some we might start looking at some swing trades on some of these stocks, but I do mark out these lower time frame levels as we move through. So there you go on the 4. Okay. Do we get that push up to get to that matching D extension? We come here. Stochastic is in the sell zone. We do have an 80-20 here on the 1. We'll see what happens, right? If the higher time frame controls the lower, we could get to the D extension before we get that reversal, right? So we could see a new AB boundary and a little different scenario here on the 1, right? If we push up, get a swing high to form there, pull back, and then continue, we could have a 1-hour 80-20 or something like that is to present itself. So there we are on the 1, right? We got an 80-20 scenario, but are we going to be able to break this 199 level and continue pushing to that 207? Okay, so that's the thought there. And said you played 15-minute. So let's see what the 15 looks like. Yeah, kind of same thing we're talking about, right? So do we get the retracement first? Or do we get a continuation here, right? So also you got to be careful. 199, 192. So technically this did get to the 382 here on the 15. So just be careful here, right? Because like I said, we may not get this retracement. So let's watch and see if we're able to close strong above 199. You might want to relook at that position. If we close bearish here, then you could be in luck on that retracement first. But you got a stochastic in the buy zone. Stochastic in the buy zone on the 15. Approaching the sell zone on the 1. This will be interesting to see how this goes, right? What the sentiment is as we move through the day and the rest of the week. I like the thought, right? Just be careful because we already did get to the 382 there. All right. So little details like that you want to watch. So we'll continue to watch this and see. All right. Do we get the retracement first, or do we get the extension and then a reversal? Okay. Questions on Amazon.
Ryan, what's the fib that's from the 382? Can you do a fib there, please?
B boundary. Yeah. B boundary. So let's see. Let's see how it plays out. We'll check back on it later on the week and see how it did. And update us. Update us. Send us some screenshots on where price is so we can stay updated on this one. All right. Any other questions on Amazon? Oh, cool deal. Pound Aussie. We'll talk through it. So a while ago, we were talking about a couple different scenarios here. JC had a bearish crown, right? I had the inverted crown to the upside. So far, JC's been right off the high, right? We're looking at this move down. So now we're sitting at 189.067. Okay, we haven't gotten to the 382 yet, right? Which supports at some point price moving to the downside. It's just a matter of when, right? It's just a matter of when. So right now on this daily, we got a double bottom here at 189.067, and we're pushing to the upside. So that's what I was saying. The pound is a little bit different because they haven't gotten there yet as far as the cuts are concerned. They're trying to plan it. It's just a matter of when, right? So it'll be interesting to see how high we push. This bullish crown may not complete, but do we get back to 195, 696? We also got another level of resistance here and we'll also watch. So we're pushing back to the upside now. Last 3 days, stochastic in the buy zone, pushing out of the buy zone. So we could see a little bit more bullish momentum, and we'll see how these shorter term resistance levels fare as price moves, right? So 191, 193, 195. So we'll see how those levels fare as prices move into the upside right now. Okay, so that's on the daily. Come down to the 4. We just haven't been able to break out, right? Haven't been able to break out. So it's just a question of what direction do we go, right? This level is holding right now, right? And it's held pretty strong so far. So right now the price action says potential range bound, right? So like I said, maybe we get back to this 193 level. That'll give us another 618 retracement there. But right now it just says range bound. Come down to the 1, see anything shorter term. It's that resistance level there. We'll see how price fares, right? Around what's the level? That 191 level there. So do we stay inside this AB boundary on this move back to the upside or not? Right. That'll be the initial answer that we get. Do we break the AB boundary here? Right. If we do, then we could be looking at more upside movement. If we stay inside of this and get a strong bearish turn, right, then we could be looking at price to start moving back down to the downside. But right now, because of how price is holding at the support level, how price is holding at that support level, I'm leaning bullish. And we'll watch and see how it develops. All right, we got that action there. We got a nice strong turn and push there. So nothing happening right now, but that's my question is, do we stay inside that AB boundary? That's the first answer that I'm looking for, right? If price stays inside the AB boundary, then I'll look for shorting opportunities. If price breaks that AB boundary, breaks this 191, 138 level, then I'll be looking for potential long opportunities at least to 193. Right? You see my thought process there? And then I keeping an eye on the fundamentals, because if the data starts to come out more dovish for the pound, right, then that will also impact this, which could give us some of those answers of saying that AB boundary or not. Right. So those are my if then statements here that I'll be using in this scenario. But nothing clean right now for me. Makes sense? Okay. Questions on the pound Aussie? No. Okay. Cool deal. Benny mentioned these euros. We started the breakdown, coming back to the zone. This one's going to be interesting. Didn't get the Kumo twist there. This is going to be interesting. I told you guys yesterday, right? I'm looking potentially be short here, right? I didn't take this move yesterday like I was supposed to, but price pushed back into the zone. So I'm going to take a small position here on this 80-20 and look for this move to the downside. I have to look at some of the fundamentals on the New Zealand dollar, but overall, from a longer term perspective, I'm short on this pair, right? Weekly. Euro data lines up, but do we get the confirmation on the New Zealand dollar side of things? Sweet spot on the 4-hour, right? 618 retracement there. Took a shot on the 4. Great work, Kay. Great work. We'll continue to monitor it and see how it goes. Yeah, I'm gonna take a short position here. Because of that euro data, right? We're in the 118, 127 zone. I'm gonna look here. Yeah. I want to see. Didn't break the cloud yet. I'll run trend lines to the upside here.
So the data is, as of late, starting to shift a little bit on
Is it?
the New Zealand dollar, right? So whereas before they were talking about, holding rates and no cuts until 2025, they
Right.
just got a business survey which indicated that was on Tuesday, indicating a significant drop in confidence for the second quarter due to high rates heavily affecting demand. So the markets are now betting the Reserve Bank of New Zealand will lower rates as early as October.
Okay. So that
Right.
makes sense
So
on this shift.
yeah, so I'm interested to see what the COT data says this week, because they've been parking money into the New Zealand dollar. So
Yeah.
you had, as of the last report, COT report, you have 71.92% long investors on the dollar. As a matter of fact, they piled into another 4,281 contracts long and closed out 2,032, right? Contracts. So you had a net change of positive 4.5%. So I'm interested when the COT report comes out this week with the latest data, if there's been any shift in long positions, because it's just one report, but that one report shifted bets to October, whereas they were looking, the Reserve Bank is talking about 2025. So that's where you
Right.
see a bit of a dip. I mean, that's the marketplace in bets. We know how that goes. I tend to stick with the central banks more so than go with the markets. But it's a drop in confidence in the second quarter due to high rates heavily affecting demand. Right. And so we know, it's commodity currency. You affect demand, that's less exports that can weigh on your economy. That's a sure. I don't know if that one report creates a new trend just yet. You know what I mean? But we have seen some declines.
Yeah.
Because I've been a fan of New Zealand long, but recently in the short term, you've seen it tail off a bit. It's still up. Uh, you know, for the quarter overall is up on the year overall, but it has seen some recent decline. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on it. On the New Zealand dollar. Like I said, I'm interested in seeing the latest COT data
Yeah.
coming out this week for that.
Okay.
So just be, like you say, wait for your confirmation. Just continue to be cautious as we do see some pairs starting to move into some positions that we may want
Yeah.
to, yeah, look at taking. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Some tricky times in the market.
It's interesting. I appreciate that perspective, though.
Yep.
Understanding that COT data and where the bets are. That's interesting. And that's a pretty large move from 2025 to October. So we'll watch that data as well.
Yeah, because
All right.
we're not in a risk off situation. You know what
Right.
I mean? So you see your commodities doing pretty good. Your commodity currencies, your Aussie, your CAD, because of the oil and things like that, and the decrease in U.S. stockpiles, and I think in New Zealand dollar. But so we just had to continue to see, how much does the high rates continue to weigh on overall demand, since they are exporting, right? So
Right.
we'll continue to watch it, because I've been a fan on it to the upside, because it has been for the most part.
It has been. Yeah, it
So
has
it
been.
seems like we may be at a little bit of a crossroads, but that's the first signs that the first reports that I've seen, like, oh, okay, well, the high rates are weighing on demand, so maybe a cut comes sooner. So we continue to play the interest rate game.
Okay. It
Yep,
makes sense. That makes sense. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that.
for
All
sure.
right. You guys follow those thoughts on the New Zealand dollar? You guys got any questions about that?
Yeah, be cautious.
Be cautious. Be cautious. All right. Cool deal. Um, any questions on anything that we covered this morning? Nope. Anything else, bros? Final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, man, that's it. Tomorrow we won't have a session. It's the 4th of July here in the States. Definitely be back on Friday. So everybody here in the States celebrate Independence Day. Enjoy the time with your friends and your family, and we'll be back here on Friday.
Yes, sir. Joy, send me a couple ribs.
Right.
Joy be on the grill, man. All right, good people. We will be back at it on Friday. You guys have a phenomenal day today, phenomenal day tomorrow. Continue to put in the work, continue to find your 1%. We'll see you in the community. Peace.